I hope you all are doing well. Welcome. It's so good to see you. I hope you're all having a great day. Today is Christmas. Christmas is a big deal for a lot of us, and I think that that is wonderful. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to record um, because one of the things that I didn't realize was that I forgot my team had canceled out of respect for my mother's passing. My team had canceled our book club meeting on Wednesday nights, and if you know how much I love our book club meetings, you'll know how how that kind of threw me off a little bit, But it's not their fault. They just did what I asked them to do. And also this morning, in Money in the Morning, in our financial consciousness training, our millionaire training camp, I actually went through the process of kind of eulogizing my mother and really talking about some of the ideas and the beliefs that she had and linking them back to finance and economics. So if you'd like to actually see that training I did a full financial training on money and life and success and everything else based on my mother's legacy. You can have that for free. Just pull out your phone and text the word mama to the number 87948. Text the word mama to the number 87948, and I will send it to you because it was something I put together that I said, I really want to remember my mother in a favorable way. And I also want to make sure that the community benefits from her legacy. All the things that she taught me are things that I teach you. I have a whole doctorate in finance. We've reached millions of people. We have almost 1 billion views on YouTube. So my thought was like, let's keep the party going. Just somebody passing away does not mean that it's over. And also, I appreciate your condolences. I see you. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, give me a yes if you can hear me. And I see Tony Brown, Jason Sear, Tony C, Tony Boutte, Maxine Guy. I appreciate your condolences. Thank you so much. I appreciate the condolences 100%. I want to make sure I'm clear about that. But also, as I mentioned earlier, I was saying to you guys that I really don't. After you give me the first condolence, I don't want any more condolences. I'd rather have two things. I'm gonna ask you for two things. Can you give me two things? Two simple things, very easy to do. Don't cost you anything. Can you give me two things? Give me a yes in the chat if you can do this. Number one, the two things I need from you that I'd like to request is one, I'd like your attention. You don't have to pay money to be here. You just have to pay attention. And number two, I would like for you to congratulate me. I want you to congratulate, give me your congratulations because my mother was such a superstar and I was so lucky to have her. One of the rules that I've always applied, and I actually apply this in things like our Black Keys to Greatness life class that I have in the Black Business School, and it's free, by the way, if you want to join it, blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. Is basically I just remind myself to always count my blessings before I count my curses. That's it. That's a simple rule. I count my blessings before I count my curses. And then it's not to say you can't acknowledge the things you don't have. It's not like you can't acknowledge the setbacks, you can't acknowledge the issues, but start by counting your blessings first, man. I mean, we live in America. We have so many things to be happy about. Why start the day off being sad? I don't want you sad. I want you happy, and I want you to also look at your opportunities instead of looking at your limitations. Do we agree? Does that make sense? Give me a quick yes. All right. So what I want to talk about really quickly tonight, since we didn't get to do the book club, but I do want to do this, I'm going to discuss the hidden history of Christmas. And a lot of you don't know that in Dr. Claude Anderson's book, which is called the one we're reading is called The Black History Reader. All of his books are at powernomics.com. He actually writes about the hidden history of Christmas. He writes about the things about Christmas that you don't know. The how many of you know? Give me a yes or no. How many of you knew that the slaves celebrated Christmas very different from white people? I mean, you probably guessed that. The slaves did not do what white folks did, but also there was Kwanzaa was not the first alternative that black people had in terms of how they celebrated Christmas. It does nothing against Kwanzaa. I think I think that Karenga, when he created Kwanzaa, did a good thing for the world. I actually spoke at his bookstore twice in South Central Los Angeles, and it was wonderful. It was completely sold out. The room was packed with hundreds of people. And thank you to all of you who showed up. One guy that I met that was really interesting was a guy named Alonzo. And he has a book called NWA, which stands for Not Without Alonzo. And he sent me a copy of his book. And Alonzo is the guy. This is pretty cool Black history. Alonzo's the guy who basically introduced Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and MC Ren and all those guys, right? So his book is called NWA Not Without Alonzo. And shout out to Alonzo. I haven't talked to his brother in many years, but I have a lot of respect for him. So anyway, so let me just kind of now let me write. I'm going to write the URL down in the chat. It's Black Key. Somebody type it down for me too. It's blackkeys2greatness.com. I'm going to put it right there in the chat so you can see it. And if somebody wants to help, just put it in the comments or something so others can see it. I should put it in the show notes or something, but maybe I'm too lazy to do that. But But anyway, with that said, let me get into the real history of Christmas for Black people. This is something that may be of interest to you. One thing I want to mention before I even dig into that too is, I'm really begging you. I'm absolutely begging you to do actually one more thing. I'm going to ask you. This is my Christmas gift. Can you give me a yes in the chat if you're going to buy some stock for your kids? Can you give me a yes in the chat if you're going to buy at least one or two or three or whatever number of shares you can afford, buy stock for your kids. I've mentioned to you all before, I'm a finance researcher, I'm a finance professor. As a finance professor, I can confirm to you in the research that it is determined that the number one wealth builder in America is the stock market. The stock market is the place that rich people put their money. And so I want your kids to be rich. I want your kids to be safe. And the reason this is very important is because if you go on TikTok or any other app, you'll see lots of 20 somethings who hate their lives. You'll see 25-year-olds who are stressed out, overworked, underpaid, mistreated, exploited, driven to depression because their economics are not right. If your money ain't right, it's hard for your life to be right sometimes. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying there. Money right, like my buddy Ash Cash says, money right, mind right. Well, if your mind ain't right, then your money won't be right. But if your money ain't right, then your mind can't be right sometimes. You understand what I'm saying? They connect, they're interactive. Mind and money are connected. That's why my wife, who's a therapist, she's a really highly super skilled therapist that trains other therapists to become therapists. That's how licensed she is. She's a full professor of social work. Very, very, very few of anybody becomes full professors. And one of the things that we talk about extensively is that there's sort of an interactive, recursive back and forth between mindset and money situation. If your money situation's bad, it's very, very hard to focus and to be productive in other areas. And so what I really want you to do for your kids, and this ain't for me, this is for your children, is I want you to just get in the habit of buying them a few shares of stock. Do you know that if you simply spent $1,000, if y'all, some of y'all got 20 broke 24-year-olds that used to live with you. Some of y'all got these 20 somethings that are struggling right now. And I'm not making fun of it, but it's true. Do you know that if you simply took $1,000 and bought them some Apple stock one time in 2000, that $1,000 would have turned into $365,000? Did y'all know that? You might have heard me say this before. I've said it in class, but I really need you to understand this. So imagine if you bought them $1,000 worth of stock every year, right? $1,000 a year is about $83 a month. $83 a month. So a lot of you have cell phone bills that are bigger than that. A lot of you have car notes that are $500 to $1,000. So what I ask parents, I don't know if it pisses people off or not, but it's true. I say, well, do you love your damn child as much as you love your car? And I'm not saying actually everybody loves their child, but my deeper question is, do you care about them? Because loving somebody and caring about them are two different things. Loving them means, oh, I love you, I need you. If you go away, I'm going to be sad. I love my mother. My mother died, and I was sad that she was gone. But caring about somebody means that I need you to be okay. I need you to be good. Your well-being matters to me. I need you to be safe. I need you to be happy. I need you to be fulfilled. I need you to live your dream. So, do you care about your kids? Because every parent most parents love their kids, but not every parent cares about them. Not every parent has the discipline to say, I'm going to do some stuff, even if it's a little inconvenient, even if it throws me off my game, even if I can't go out and, yeah, and club in or do whatever I'm trying to do. I'm going to sacrifice, or even if it makes you mad at me. That's a big one. A lot of parents want to be their kids' best friends. You know what I'm talking about? My mama was always clear. I don't want to be your friend. I'm not one of your little friends. She would say that I don't care if you hate me. I need you to be ready in case something happens to me. And she used to prepare us for her passing when I was a little kid, and it scared the hell out of me. But believe me, I was ready for the world, and I was lucky enough to have my mother for 71 years. So that was a blessing. So my point is to say, do you care about your kids? If you care about them, buy them some shares of stock. If you don't know how to get started, there is a free training that we have in the Black Business School that everybody can access at blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. Damn it, I did the wrong URL. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Scratch that. Forget I said that. Forget I said that. The one for the stock market for the $5 a day plan is blackwealthmasterplan.com. That's what it is. Blackwealthmasterplan.com. That's 100% free. Blackwealthmasterplan.com. And also, one thing we're doing on Friday night, if you want to join us, is we're doing a financial slumber party at 11 p.m. I'm going to do a training I have called Stock Market Decoded. And we're going to get together at 11 p.m. on Friday night and on a Zoom in our pajamas with some popcorn, play some music, have some fun. My wife is going to be there, and we're literally going to talk about the stock market. I'm going to take you step by step through how the stock market works. We're going to make sure you know how to buy your first share if you don't know how to do that yet. But on top of that, if you've already bought your first share, I'll talk about stocks that I like and ways we can move forward as investors and all these other things. So remember, I wrote my whole dissertation on the stock market. It takes a lot of expertise to get to that level. You can't just take a class or two. I took classes for 10 straight years, studied 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, including Christmas. And that's the level of depth that my training was. And that's what I did 20 years ago. That doesn't include everything I've learned since then, which is 5 times more than what I learned up to get my doctorate. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Stock Market Decoded in our Financial Slumber Party. If you want to join us, you can go to financialslumberparty.com. And also make sure you're on the text list to join our morning class, which is free. Just make sure you text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. So let's go back into Christmas really quickly. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. So with Christmas, Dr. Claude Anderson, in his book, The Black History Reader, talks about Christmas. And he says that he asked a basic question. He says, was Kwanzaa the first alternative to Christmas for Black Americans? So what Dr. Anderson says is this. He says, Kwanzaa, what many people call the Black version of Christmas, has Swahili and Arabic links and is celebrated by many Blacks in America. It was not, however, the first alternative Christian-like celebration that Blacks devised. The Christmas season brought a suspension of field work and a period for slaves to make merry and enjoy themselves. Slaves observed that Christmas season was a joyous occasion for most Americans, but enslavement laws of 1665 imposed Christian humbug on Black people in the American colonies. Christmas, largely a white Victorian invention of European society, excluded slaves, but they still had an emotional need to participate in the festivities, so they created their own Christmas traditions and Santa Claus. Pulling from their African heritage, they organized, this is what the slaves did. They organized a version of Christmas that was called Johnkannas, Johnkannanaus. Has anybody ever heard of Johnkannas? Anybody? Give me a yes. If you want to impress me, put a yes in the chat if you've heard of Johnkannas. I admit I've never heard of it. Dr. Claude Anderson is writing about it in his book, which, by the way, you can get copies of his books at powernomics.com. I've been telling everybody who supports Dr. Anderson, buy a bunch of his books if you have extra money and just give them away to people in the community. But Johnkannas, has anybody ever heard of Johnkannas? I've not heard of it. Give me a yes if you have, a no if you have not. So he says here, the celebration around a trope of gaily costumed slaves who on Christmas Day would get slave owners permission to travel to several different plantations, singing and playing on homemade musical instruments. The second tradition they created was Christmas GIF, GIF, like, the GIFs that they have for memes and stuff. Christmas GIF. Slaves carried around small pieces of fruit or candy in their pockets like Halloween treats. Whoever said Christmas GIF first received a present. That's pretty cool. In 1966, Malena Karenga, PhD and author and professor of Africana Studies, created Kwanzaa, which injected African traditions into the Christmas season. Since Kwanzaa has become popular among Blacks, mainstream businesses and advertising agencies have followed the money and begun to recognize Kwanzaa as the Black Christmas. So so what Dr. Anderson seems to be arguing, nothing against Kwanzaa, of course. Love Malena Karenga, nothing against him at all. He's amazing. But he's saying that the commercialization of Kwanzaa is what pushed Kwanzaa to the front of the line. And truth be told, that's kind of a driver of a lot of what you value most as Black people. But when they advertise something on television, it does affect your mind and your perspective. Television is a brainwashing tool. It's a brainwashing mechanism. In fact, it makes me think about the rapper Sexy Red. She actually made a post that was interesting where she said, I feel like some regular girl in the hood that they grabbed and just put on TV. And everyone was like, yes, that's exactly what you are. You are a plant. They just grabbed you, put you on TV, and suddenly you become famous because of that. So to some extent, the same thing happens when we have selectivity in terms of who was picked as our civil rights leaders. There's selectivity in terms of who gets to be the chosen Negro. So effectively, those in control of media, those in control of capitalism, didn't put their money behind certain people, certain horses, certain ideas, and then those ideas ideas become readily adopted. That's why it's extremely important for you not to get caught up in just following what you see on TV. I think you have to be very conscious about the ideas that you accept and the ideas that you reject. And so, to some extent, he's arguing that Kwanzaa was something that was sort of selected as something that fit nicely with corporations. I mean, think about it. You got all these different days that you can sell things, and and it works. It really works. Billions of dollars are generated in sales due to Christmas, Kwanzaa, things like that. Nothing against Kwanzaa, nothing against Christmas, but I really also encourage you to consider ways that maybe you can keep some money in your pocket instead of allowing people to create artificial holidays in order to get sales from you. They do this all the time. Amazon's notorious for this. They got Prime Day and then they got pre-Prime Day and all these other days that where they say, let's make this a holiday so that people will feel like I have to go spend money. So in 1966, Malena Karenga, okay, let's see, I already mentioned that. Um, Even though there are still different philosophies among blacks about how best to celebrate the holiday season, Kwanzaa is an opportunity for spiritual upliftment, a chance to assemble in a celebratory gathering, and an opportunity to consciously direct commercial dollars into black hands and business coffers. I agree. I think again, like I was saying, I think Kwanzaa is great. I'm not just because I'm pointing out the economic issue, that does not mean I'm anti-Kwanzaa. I am not anti-Kwanzaa. Okay, so I'm curious, give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you celebrate Kwanzaa? Give me the um let me see how many of you celebrate. Do a lot of you celebrate Kwanzaa or just Christmas? And it's okay to do either one. I'm not, I don't think it's required. Well, let me give you some of the origins of Christmas really quick in case you're interested. First off, is Christmas has origins in ancient pagan festivals such as Saturnalia from Rome, Yule, which is Norse, which celebrated the winter solstice with feasting, gift giving, and merriment. So that sounds very, very white. No disrespect to white people, but it is. Early Christians adopted December 25th to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, aligning with the existing solstice traditions to ease the spread of Christianity. Now, what's interesting is, is that you all know my mother died on Christmas Eve. She graduated. She went to heaven, and me and my sister were just talking about that, and we said, isn't that interesting that as much as she loved her Jesus, my mama loved her some Jesus. That was it. I don't go to church, but mama was definitely all about her Jesus. And she didn't go to church actually because she felt like churches were problematic, corrupt, that they're not truly connected to God in the way that they claim to be. So anyway, I said, my sister said, isn't it interesting that she died on Jesus, or that she went to heaven on Jesus' birthday? Technically, it was Christmas Eve, but we were like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of poetic, right? So anyway, also there was Roman influence on Christmas. The Emperor Constantine, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, declared December 25th to be an official holiday in 336 CE. So a couple thousand years ago, somebody decided December 25th was the day to do it. People have been doing it that way ever since. By the Middle Ages, Christmas had become a mix of religious observations as well during, say, the Middle Ages and the Black Plague in Europe, things like that. They had a lot of rowdy celebrations with traditions like wassailing and feasts becoming widespread. Now, in the 19th century, figures like Charles Dickens and other cultural icons like Santa Claus helped to transform Christmas into a family-centered gift-giving holiday focused on goodwill and cheer. Now, let's talk about Kwanzaa. What's the origin of Kwanzaa? Well, we know Malena Karenga created Kwanzaa about 1966 during the Black Freedom Movement to celebrate African heritage and culture. Good for him. That's an amazing thing. It has a huge Swahili influence. The name Kwanzaa comes from the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, meaning first fruits inspired by African harvest festivals. Okay, I like that harvest festival. Abundance, fruits, food is good. Right? There are seven principles. The holiday's built around Nguzo Saba. Just don't get mad at me for mispronouncing it. I'm sorry. I know y'all gonna correct me. With seven principles: Umoja, unity, uh, Kuchichila. See, I don't even want to say it because if I say it, I know y'all gonna clown me because I'm saying it wrong. But let me just say self-determination, and the word is spelled Kujachagula. I'm not gonna say coochie because Kuji Chagwila. Kuji Chagwila. If somebody who knows how to say the word, tell me if I say it right. Kuji Chagwila. See, I'm embarrassed myself, but I'm gonna keep going because I ain't gonna quit. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Another great concept. I mean, unity, self-determination. Man, I mean, can you imagine how great our people would be if we had unity? Can you imagine how amazing we'd be if we had self-determination? Just said, we gonna do it. We ain't waiting for white folks. We ain't waiting for nobody. Massa ain't got nothing to do with what we about to do. We about to do this. We about to do it right. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Responsibility, collective work. That's what made China great. That's how China established so much economic power. They work together and they also are responsible for the fate of their nation. Ujama, cooperative economics. Well, I mean, we talk about that every week. Y'all know that's what we about. That's the Black Business School right there. That's Powernomics right there. That's all of that, right? Collective economics. I've never explained to you all that economics is a matter of gang affiliation. Economics is very gang affiliated. Most of the wealthiest people in the world tend to be affiliated with some economic gang. These gangs, you might refer to them as corporations. Apple Computer is a big $3 trillion economic gang. They all have the same code of conduct. They all wear the same little uniform. They got little logos, stuff like that. If you violate, then you get removed from the gang. The Black Business School is an economic gang. Y'all see my Panther right here, and I'm ride or die with the B1 community. We got our gang affiliation, and we're making it happen. We're getting things done. We pump millions of dollars into the Black community. We have pumped at least hundreds of thousands of dollars into Dr. Claude Anderson and the Harvest Institute and the Powernomics Corporation to support him because he's a person that every Black person needs to know about. Right? We've been able to get 1 billion views on YouTube. We've been able to really help millions of people may buy their first share of stock. So we've actually helped to instigate what I know for a fact will be a multi-trillion-dollar wealth transfer over the next generation and beyond. There is no other finance PhD kind of doing this kind of thing. I hope that there's more eventually. Maybe I can talk them into it, but there's nobody out there that can say, I got a doctorate in this stuff from a legitimate institution, the Ohio State University, and I'm putting Black first, and I'm every single day for thousands of days in a row talking to Black people about how to build wealth. I don't know anyone else. You tell me if you see that guy because I'm looking for him. I want some friends to do this too. But with that being said, at the end of the day, my point is to say, when we talk about that cooperative economics piece, one of the biggest things to understand is that you don't really need anybody to give you anything else. You have everything that you need in order to do what you want to do. Like there's nobody that is going to come save you. We know this. There's nobody that really needs to come save you. What you have to do is save yourself. Because what happens, unfortunately, is that we are mind screwed. We're kind of cheated into destroying each other and harming ourselves, and then therefore we can't build on that. So we need a community of builders. Building does require skills in areas that go outside of finance, and where people miss it, and where people miss the bigger picture, is they think that it's all about the money. They think that it's all about the economics. It's all about getting a high paying job. It's all about affirmative action or having opportunities or having more NFL and NBA players. We got hundreds, if not thousands, of millionaires that are professional athletes. But if they're not trained to build, if they're not trained in a certain mindset, if they haven't mastered all the tangential aspects of wealth building, then no wealth will be built. If you imagine this, let me give you an example. Imagine two guys, both have $100 million contracts in the NBA or the NFL. Both of them are making over $100 million. One guy doesn't know anything about institution building. He doesn't know anything about job creation. He doesn't know anything about making long-term plans or hiring people, delegation, all the skills required to build an institution. Well, he's going to be one successful guy, and we've had a lot of one successful guy. We've always had that one Negro that's doing well. Like we've always had that one Negro with the good job. That does not scale. That is not contagious. That is contained success. Success that is contained does not affect the whole community. It affects one guy. And then we get to look at that one guy and say, wow, that one guy's doing really well, but I'm not doing well. And then the one guy dies, and then the whole thing's over. So imagine the second guy. The second guy also has a $100 million contract, but he's built to scale. He's been trained to scale. From the time he was a kid, his parents, maybe they put him through the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow curriculum, and he learned things like the STURDY model, which stands for systems technology, entrepreneurship, relationships, and delegation, right? He knows these things. He understands what it means to keep your poise, which we talk to our kids about in the school, which is producer, owner, investor, saver, entrepreneur. He knows these things. So he understands how wealth connects to relationships. He understands how wealth connects to mental health. He understands how wealth connects to physical health. He understands how relationships lead to delegation, which allows you to build teams instead of doing it all by yourself, working like a super slave where you're doing 100 hours a week. He says, no, I don't have to do 100 hours a week. I'm going to do 40 hours a week, spending my time delegating to 20 other people so that instead of working 100 hours a week, I'm now working 20,000 hours a week. Do you understand? right? He has a certain mind space that's allowing him to take his money and make it contagious, creating a concept that we've talked about exclusively in the Black Business School, which is something called financial fertility. If you read my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I talk extensively about financial fertility. Your money must give birth to other money. Your money cannot be sterile. Sterile money is dead money. Dead money does not grow, it does not scale, it does not create opportunities, it does not elevate communities. So a lot of these Negroes, they got all these $1 million contracts, are sitting on a bunch of dead money. A dead money is a financial carcass. A carcass is not going to give birth to a child. So your money has to be alive, and that requires the person who controls the money to have a certain understanding of how money works so you can maximize the value of the asset in front of you. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. I know that I'm saying a lot. Give me a quick yes. Let's take a quick breather. I want to make sure you're getting you're digesting this. Because I know when I get excited, I start to go, go, go. And I just want to, I want to try to make sure we all kind of understand this on some level. And if you want tools that can help you with this, we do have a training I did called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. It's very easy for me to turn your kids into millionaires if you do what I say and you start early. And the URL for that is kiddyboss.com, KIDDIE, kiddyboss.com. So you can go to kiddyboss.com if you like, or you can also text the word youth on your phone to 87948. So if you text youth to 87948, I'll send you some information on children's programs we have in the Black Business School, because one of our core values is that we believe Black people should educate our own children. Also, we believe we should create our own jobs. Also, we believe we should support Black-owned businesses. That's what we believe. That's who we are. I'm not apologizing for any of that. So, so anyway, last point. Let's finish up with Kwanzaa here. So Kwanzaa has what are the other principles? We talked about cooperative economics, NEO, which is purpose. Man, I love this. Purpose-driven life. Purpose-driven life, having purpose and like, sort of having intentionality. See, if you've got purpose and passion and intentionality, then basically you've aimed, you've got energy, and you've picked your target. Right? You're aiming at the target, so you got your purpose. Then you're giving energy to the target. You're going at it hard. That's intentionality, right? And then at that point, you've got your purpose as well, which comes from just saying, this is what I'm trying to do. Because I've got this purpose, I've got a goal. Now, because I have a goal, I know where to aim my rifle, and I got a I'm putting power in it. I'm putting gunpowder in the weapon. That's where that passion comes in, right? So anybody who has a purpose, who's passionately and intentionally targeted where their energy is going to go, cannot fail. A person like that cannot fail. They're going to just go through life and kick ass and take names, and people are going to get out of their way because most people don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. Most people are sheep. Sheep just follow other sheep. So the sheep could all be walking into the slaughterhouse, and a sheep will just follow the other sheep right into the slaughterhouse. That's the world. That's life. But if you have that person that has purpose, and then you've got that added with intentionality and passion, you can't be stopped. You can't be stopped. So let's keep going. Last, Kuumba, Kuumba, is creativity. I like that. Creativity is important. Wealth builders typically have to have creativity, but you don't use that just for wealth. You use that for any type of success, survival, whatever it is you're trying to do. And then Imani is faith. Oh, buddy, faith. Lord. Faith is big for me because just this morning, when I was talking about my mother, who just passed away on Christmas Eve this year, I literally took the word fear and I talked about how my mother grew up living in fear and then she got out of that and it made her a much stronger human being. And I took the word fear and I said, let's take that word and let's make it mean something. Let's talk about this in terms of the fact that we all need some sort of vaccine against fear. We needed that during the pandemic because fear in the pandemic, fear was the biggest virus in America at that time. It wasn't COVID, it was fear. And I said, okay, so fear, let's make fear an acronym that reflects my mother's legacy. And so the word fear, I said, oh, it stands for faith, education, accountability, and resilience. Faith, education, accountability, and resilience. And that's what my mother represented. So we talked about that this morning. If you didn't get a copy of that, if you'd like to get a copy, just text the word morning to the number 87948 and I can send it to you or something like that, whatever you want to do. But anyway, the F stood for faith. And I think faith is really powerful because faith is, when it's used in the right way, can really allow you to have a type of resilience and power that you can't have, that may not necessarily be justified based on your current condition, right? See what faith kind of does. Faith is a type of consciousness. See, I want you to pay attention now. Faith is it's where I see the bigger picture. I believe everything's going to work out. Everything is everything. The universe will take care of it. I'm going to be okay. See, what you got to understand, pay attention and listen to this. Faith is a deeply economic concept. It's a spiritual as well, but it's deeply connected to economic spirituality. Did you understand? Do you all understand? I wish I could take a piece of my brain out and hand it to you so you could just consume it. Because what I'm seeing is this. Do you understand how much of our economic system is built on faith? Do you understand that? After Elon Musk, let me see, find a simple example. Elon Musk puts out $250 million and buys the presidency. Maybe it was more than that. I don't remember how much it was. He suddenly is in a position of power, right? He's got the ear of the president. He's got the ability to support his space programs and EV programs. Everything he wants to do now is right at his feet. Well, even though Elon spent either between $250 million and $500 million to win the White House, that was an enormously profitable investment for him. Enormously profitable. Because do you realize that after Elon Musk won the presidency with Trump, Elon's wealth increased by about 70 to 80 billion dollars. Elon Musk at this point is now the richest human being, not just the richest man on earth. He did that a long time ago. He's now the richest human being that has ever lived in dollar adjusted terms. When you adjust for inflation, they believe that Elon Musk is the richest human being to have ever walked the face of this planet. Now, is that dirty, funky capitalism? Absolutely. Is it wrong, corrupt? I agree with you. I concede that point. You're not going to get any disagreement with me. He's a white boy from South Africa who grew up in apartheid. He's probably kind of a prick. So let's get that off the table and stop worrying about how people feel about you. Because if you love you and I love you, then that's all that should matter. If you love me and I love me, then that's all I care about. I'm not looking for Elon Musk to love me. I don't need love that desperately. So I'm not seeking approval from anybody. Can we please get that off the table? Let's talk about the specifics. Let's talk about why this is a great investment and why this links to faith. Well, it's a great investment because so he puts down a quarter of a billion. He's now worth another 80 billion. He went from being tied for the richest man on earth to having more wealth than the number two and the number three guy combined. And and a lot of that was built on faith. How was that built on faith, boys? Well, let me explain. Well, most of his wealth came not from money he actually made. It didn't come from money he generated. It came from what? Answer me in the chat. Answer me in the chat. It came from an increase in what? The stock price. The stock price went up. Well, remember, you're talking to a guy who is an expert on how stock prices are formed and where they come from. And basically, I can tell you, his increase in wealth did not come from additional money he made. It came from the fact that his stock price went up because people had more faith in his ability to lead as an economic entity. People see these equations, and I've gone through a lot of them that explain where stock prices come from. These mathematical equations are very precise ways to say, I'm not really sure. You use really precise numbers, exact interest rates, and exact discount periods, and exact cash flow estimates, all to pretty much say, like, well, this is our best guess. And the thing about it is that if anything happens where the faith in the entity or the individual starts to decline, or the risk level goes up, or people just aren't sure about you anymore, or their fear goes up, which fear is the enemy of faith, right? You cannot have faith and fear in the same room. They don't work together, right? And so when those things creep into the market, stock prices do what? They start to collapse. They start to collapse. Well, why is that? Well, because when people are scared and the economy seems risky, they lose faith. They say, I'm not putting my money out there because I don't know how that's going to work out. See, so when I hear that word faith, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's an economic statement. And everyone else thinks about going to church and stuff. And faith is important in church for sure. But I think faith can be your friend. And I encourage you to really meditate on faith and what that really means for you, right? Faith might mean an entrepreneur who's going into the abyss where they know they don't have enough money, they don't have enough skill, they can't get a bank loan, ain't nobody helping them, but they keep going anyway, believing to the core of their soul that there is something good at the end of the rainbow. That's faith. Cowards can't do that. Traumatized people have a hard time doing that. So if you claim to be a person of faith, then be a damn person of faith. Faith really means you can go in and say, gosh, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I think it's going to be okay. I live my life on faith, man. I live my life on faith. Do you know when I was the hardest time of my life was this week when my mama dies, right on Christmas Eve. That was very difficult for me. The second hardest time of my life was when I was 28 years old and I hit rock bottom. Everything in my life was falling apart. The woman I loved told me she was leaving to be with another guy. My classes weren't going well in school. And my money problems were so bad that I had to move out of my apartment in the middle of the night because I could not pay the rent. And so um, I remember being at rock bottom at that stage. And I remember just crying at my desk because things were so hard. And I couldn't figure out how to move forward. I didn't know what to do. And I think at that point, there's something magical about hitting rock bottom where you say, I ain't got nothing else to lose. So I might as well go for broke. I might as well go hard. So going hard for me at that time meant that I said to myself, I'm tired of playing this stupid game. I'm tired of pretending to be a white boy. I'm tired of trying to fit in with people who don't like me very much. So I'm gonna go full Boyce Watkins on them, whatever that means, full Boyce Watkins. So at that moment, I committed to being me. That was literally the moment where the Boyce Watkins that you know, the one where a bunch of people love me and a bunch of people can't stand me, that's when he was born. He was born out of pain. He was born out of misery. He was born out of failure, and he rose out of the ashes. And I committed to this guy. I love this guy. And I said, I love you. I'm going to stick with you no matter what. So faith meant that I said, okay, if I work my ass off and get skilled at what I do, highly, highly skilled at what I do, and I'm a good person, then I have a very high probability of being successful at something. Those are my three rules. Bust your ass, get super skilled, and then just help people. Be a decent human being and it's gonna work out. Everybody ain't gonna love it. It's not always gonna be easy, but that was the strategy. It was really that basic. And that's what got me through everything. And that was me operating on faith. It's like, well, I know I'm damn good at what I do. I know I bust my ass and I know I'm a good person. So it'll be all right. It'll work out somehow. It'll all come together somehow. So faith is powerful, and I encourage you to really tap into faith when you're talking about making economic moves because you cannot build economics without faith. You cannot do black business without having faith in each other. That's a tough one, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You cannot build wealth for yourself. You don't want to invest for your children if you don't have faith that what I'm saying to you about the stock market growing over time is not going to work. If you don't have faith in yourself, then you're not going to jump out, start that business, make those investments, all those other things. So faith is, I think, such a powerful principle that all of us should apply in our lives. And the beauty of it is that you ain't even got to go to church. Just go to the church of you, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever that looks like for you. I'm not even here to judge that. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this up for today. For those of you that were invited in from the weekly book club, just know what happened was the Zoom got erased by one of our team members. It wasn't her fault. I told her to do it by accident. And so I sent you all a text to let you all know that we were doing our book club meeting tonight. If you want to join the book club, you can go to blackkeystogreatness.com. It gives you free access to my life class, which is really good, and a lot of other resources. So I'm gonna put in the URL. I'm gonna put the URL in the chat, blackkeystogreatness.com. If you're watching the recording, it'll be in the description of this video. And also, I do have a podcast on Spotify, two of them actually. One's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, where I do stuff like this and I kind of talk about everything, kind of blending wealth with a lot of other topics. But then I have one that's focused specifically on the stock market called Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market. So whichever one is most interesting to you, you can grab one, subscribe to both. It's totally up to you. And then the last but not least, if you want to join us for the Friday night financial slumber party that we're going to do, we're going to get together at 11 o'clock at night in our pajamas with our popcorn, and we're going to do finance in the middle of the night and just have a blast. It's like a big sleepover. I don't know if anybody remembers having sleepovers when you were little, how much fun they were. Well, I think maturity is overrated. So I said, I'm gonna do something completely immature. So we're going to cover a training idea called Stock Market Decoded. So by the time you're done, you will be transformed into an investor. You will know, and if you're already an investor, you'll be leveled up. We're going to talk about stocks that I love, and why. We're going to talk about rules and principles for picking your favorite stocks. Also, if you're a beginner, we can show you how to get started, all that good stuff. So feel free to join us. The URL is financialslumberparty.com. So I'm gonna put that URL in the chat so you guys can take a look and feel free to join us if you'd like to join. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Go watch a movie with my sister now. As a family, as you can imagine, we're getting together to celebrate the life of my mother. And also, if you happen to be watching on YouTube or something, if you could hit that thumbs up button or something, that would really help. I hear that that helps in terms of getting more viewers, but the algorithm hates me. I think probably because of the pandemic. I think they were throttling all these YouTube channels because I have over 1 million subscribers, but it's really, really hard to get the algorithm to pick up our stuff because I think that there's something about our content that makes them uncomfortable. I have no idea. I don't care. Doesn't matter. We're still reaching millions of people and we're doing it under our own power, and I'm really proud of that. We're good. We're kicking ass, taking names. They cannot destroy us. They cannot slow us down. They cannot take us off the grid. It's too late. It's already out there. We're killing it. We're on top of the world. Let's keep going. So God bless you. Happy holidays. And I hope you all have a wonderful new year and everything else, but you'll hear from me before then. In fact, tomorrow morning, we're going to meet for Millionaire Training Camp, which we do every single day, 7 days a week. We've done this all year long. If you'd like to join us for that for free, just pull out your phone, text the word morning to the phone number 87948. So if you text morning to 87948, I'll send you an invitation to join us tomorrow. And I just hope that you'll bring your family too, because I can guarantee you 100%, if you got kids and relatives that are listening to wealth conversations every day, they're gonna be black and proud and rich one day. It's only a matter of time. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye. Peace.